Oh. Hello. How are you doing this Thursday? I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And happy spring, y'all. It's April. I can't believe it. It is April. I'm like, listen, this year ain't waiting on nobody. Okay, so again, we thank you. We thank you for joining. Book Talks. She's Purposeke Book Talks. I am author coach Key Andrea Ragland. We have a new author in the house this week, and you know how we do it. She's Purposeke Community. We like to welcome our new guests. We like to support our authors. Authors are supporting authors. So I want to first let me take a moment to introduce myself. I am author coach Key Andrea Ragland. I work with Christian professional women, helping them to identify limiting beliefs. As a burnout coach, I help individuals set goals and just help bring balance to their lifestyle so they're not bringing work stress home and home stress to work. Now, if you are an author, if you are in an anthology or collaboration and you would like to be interviewed next on Book Talks with She's Purpose Key, go to www.shesPurposeKey.com and fill out the form to be my next guest here on She's Purpose Key Book Talks. Now let's get right into this today. So let's help celebrate and support our new author of the week. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We congratulate you. We congratulate you. We support you. And we just like to say, come on in, and let the people know who you are because we are excited to hear your story. We are excited for you and all the other ladies that is a part of your collaboration, a part of the book. But today we're going to dig into your chapter and we just want you to feel welcome and let the people know who you are.
Thank you. First and foremost, author Keandria, I'm so excited to be here on this evening. Very excited to be sharing my testimony of resilience, my testimony of faith, and my testimony of how God turns trials into triumphs. I'm Nicole Sesay. I've been in the educational field for over 25 years. I've worked as a teacher's assistant, a teacher, a literacy coach, an assistant principal, principal director, just feeding the gamut, doing the work of the Lord in the space of education. I'm super thrilled to be on the platform this evening to really prayerfully inspire people, women very specifically, who might have encountered or might be encountering challenges in the workplace and being able to use my testimony, use my experience as a springboard for the change, springboard for the hope, springboard for the belief that no matter what the experience might be, that God can turn those experiences around. Again, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have your energy, author Keandria,
Yes,
and just
yes.
super excited
Yes.
to be here on this evening.
We're excited to have you. And so I just want you to first let us know, when did your journey start as an author?
So, it's amazing because I believe that there are two parts to this journey. One, the seed that had been planted and the manifestation of that seed. Very early on, God was leading me, particularly after the experience I had in the workplace. He was leading me towards this journey that he was going to have me on. I recall him giving me seeds of book ideas, even this testimony that many years ago when I was going through the experience, I was not in the place, even emotionally, spiritually, to really talk about that experience with freedom, with authority, with the ability to give hope to others. So he was already planting the seed. And a part of that seed planting has now reaped the harvest of the manifestation. So the manifested journey happened about a year and a half ago when God opened the door for me to work on sharing this experience that I had in this anthology book. Um, that Dr. Latrese Younger put together,
Mm-hmm.
We Black Women in the Educational Field.
Awesome. So, do you have a copy of the book with you?
I do.
Okay. Can you hold it up?
I sure can.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see.
So, how many is in the book?
So we have about 12 authors,
Uh huh.
and each of us are, each of us, we have taken our own take on the experience. And one of the key concepts of this book is that it's about a story, about stories of resilience,
Mm-hmm.
how we've had these various experiences as women of color. And I even venture to say women in general, because often that we can be marginalized as women, and then more specifically women of color or women at a certain age. I mean, there are a list of variables, but we all have our take on how we have been resilient in the face of challenge
Right.
and how we've overcome.
Right. Right. And so, before I get too far, I would like
Yes,
to ask you, and when it comes to your mission, that very thing that keeps you going and keep you motivated, keep you leading, what would that mission be?
I tell you, if it had not been for the Lord really assigning me to this to this aspect of the mission, I would have been gone from this field a long time ago. A part of my mission, as God has really placed in my heart, is to be an advocate for those who are voiceless. I
Yeah.
am deeply passionate about urban environments. I'm deeply passionate about being examples, and also being an in between of communities who might have been underserved by the educational system, and being able to hold forth a standard
Mm-hmm.
that amplifies their voices. I'm deeply passionate about seeing the potential in our youngsters, no
Yeah.
matter what variables they have encountered,
Yes.
and standing really on the battlefield for them. That is my mission. That is my passion, and that has taken on many forms. It has taken on the form of me helping prepare future school leaders, future teachers. It has taken on the many roles that I've held in the educational space. But at the foundation is wanting to see our children believe that they can be all that God has called them to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, can you kind of elaborate a little bit on the different roles that you have had in the education field?
Yes. So, as a classroom teacher, which is my passion, I started as an elementary school teacher, and I've worked in the elementary space as a classroom teacher. I was a general ed classroom teacher, and God allowed me to be met with a lot of success very quickly, where I became really a model teacher for the schools that I have been in, where the principals would often have me as the lead of the grade group, often putting me in positions where people would come and see my classroom. You know, God just allowed me to be a beacon in those experiences, even before I understood what my potential was, what that meant, that I had the ability to garner success and belief in those that I served. And that became the springboard for the other positions that I've held, which was a literacy coach, helping guide other teachers in building literacy achievement in classrooms that they led. And then as a school principal, which included the assistant principal, also led me, my success led me to be able to secure those roles. And then some of the district leadership positions that I've held in, quite frankly, Author Keandria, I have seen God's footprint in each of those roles.
Awesome.
When I've looked at that footprint, it all leaned back to what God had commissioned me to do, and that was to stand as a light of hope for the communities that, certainly a community like the one that I was raised in, to show that you can be all that God has called you to be.
I love it. I love that you said to stand um, as that light of hope.
Yes.
Because I remember when I'm gonna share this really quick. I remember, as you talk about educator, of course, I'm in the healthcare field,
Mm.
but I still see like that little girl when I was that little girl, and my mom. I have a gift of teaching, right? Let's
Mm.
just say that. And so I have a gift of teaching. And so when I was a little girl, I used to be in my class, in my bedroom actually, but it was my classroom. And
Yes.
so I had my own imagination of my own uh, students. And my
Yes.
mom used to say, who are you talking to? I'm talking to my class. I'm talking to my students. I would have my own imagination about taking my students on a field trip, going
Yes.
downstairs and back upstairs. We were going from one area to another, and my mom would just say, she just look at me be like, she would just say, "You like being a teacher?" I was like, "Yes." And so, anyway, even now today, as I am continuing my career journey and being in the healthcare field for over 20 years, I have one of the missions. I say I'm on a mission because I am on a mission.
Sure.
I relocated from Tennessee to Georgia. Uh,
Mm.
and for career development, professional development, right?
Mm.
And so I am now the education officer of the AAPC chapter.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you are familiar with, a lot of people don't know that because I do several things, but I'm one of those that don't. I'm kind of focused. You know what I'm saying? So I have set goals that I'm working on, right? And so, but one of the reasons I relocated was for that, and the door opened up for me to do that. So I am in my second year as being the education officer of Lawrenceville, Georgia. And so I'm
Mm.
also working on, even though I have my credentials, I have my RHIT, my CCS, and my CPC. And the RHIT and the CCS is for inpatient coding. So I work
Mm.
for Vanderbilt University Hospital full time. And so the CPC is for outpatient coding. So I work for Covenant Health in Tennessee for 14 years. Okay.
Mm.
So now that I have, and then I spoke, I'm not sure if you're familiar with HealthCon, but with HealthCon, I spoke at HealthCon almost 2 years ago. That kind of opened up the door for where I am now.
Mhm.
But I spoke at the HealthCon in Philadelphia. So now that I'm kind of getting my foot in that the speaking, the teaching, the
Yes.
educating type of thing, I'm working on becoming an adjunct instructor. Okay.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
so as I'm working on that, I have a couple of supporters, like a lady at the Georgia Tech university, well, not a college here in Georgia. She kind of she worked. She's an open book, and I love it because even though I haven't had the opportunity yet to be hired on, I sit on the board as a industry
Mm.
leader. You know,
Beautiful.
and so people, I get to talk about how the difference between being in the classroom and being in the actual working field.
Yes.
That type of thing. And so I say out of that just to say that it is a journey, and it does, like you said, you're talking about the footprints. And so
Yes.
sometimes, even though the journey can be a little long, I tell people my story has been delayed doesn't mean denied, because it has taken
Yes.
me over 20 years to get to where I am, right?
Yeah.
But I say that as well because you are that light, because that is what has encouraged me, because I have those individuals that is that footprint, that is that light, right? And
Yes.
not only is that light to say there is hope there, and to be the encouragement and to be the inspiration to say don't
Yes.
give up. It may take you a long time. You might have to retest. You might have to
Yes.
you know keep submitting to be a speaker. You might have to retest to be an improved instructor. Whatever it takes, don't give up. And you are one that's a great example of hope. And not only that, you are walking by faith, right?
Yes.
You continue to say that. You continue to let us know that God has been a part of every step. Sometimes you be like, it's none of me, it's all of Him. And when you
Yes.
know that it's none of you and it's all of Him, you have
Yes.
no other choice but to give Him the glory. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And so that's where, I like that scripture, and I say this, but I like that scripture that heart of a man may plan his way, but God direct our footsteps.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
so I thank you for sharing it, because again, you are an inspiration and encouragement to me, as well as I continue, as I, was reading your story, and as I continue to listen to you, because it continues to remind us that everything is in God's timing.
Yes, it's true.
If we can just remember that he is our promoter.
Yes.
He promotes us, and he turns the hearts whichever way that he chooses to. If it's
Yes.
a no, let it be a no, because it may not be your timing. It
Yes.
might not. It may not be your season. Not yet. A seed time to harvest. So one of the hardest things that we struggle with is the
Yes.
time. You see what
Yes.
I'm saying? And so I thank you for being that. Being that light and providing that hope to everyone. And so, with that being said, I would like to ask you about, um, your chapter. What's the name of your chapter?
Coming out of the dark.
Coming out of the dark. So, who would this chapter speak to, or would be for?
So it's for any person who has had an experience that was life changing, that was unexpected, and it challenged the very being that you thought you were. And it's also for those who are looking for a way out of an experience that has immobilized them, that has cause them to be in a place where they're no longer confident in the belief in who they thought that they were. This chapter is also for any person who wants to use the experience that has challenged them to be a growing opportunity. And at the foundation of my story is a story that's not unfamiliar in corporate America or in spaces where an experience happens that challenges who you are. While that is true, my story is one where I used through God that experience as an opportunity to learn some truths about myself that inevitably connected to a way out of situations when you encounter them. God gave me an opportunity to truly be able to have a blueprint of how to find success in the midst of a challenge that you've encountered.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, as of now, if you're just now coming on, we want you to support author Dr. Nicole Sesay. She is an advocate, an author, education. She's an educator and an entrepreneur. And so today we are actually talking about her chapter in the book Black Women in Educational Leadership. I have put her website in the comments. Okay. And so as we are interviewing, as we are um talking more about her story, I want you all to support, support, support. And so on her website, it says all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose, according to Romans 8 and 28. And on her website, you will find more about her. Meet Dr. Nicole Sesay. Okay, and then we're gonna scroll on down, and here we go, here we go, here we go. New release. The new release is on her page. So when you get ready to go purchase the book, go to her website. Her website is in the comments, and I also will have it on the browser as well as we continue the interview. Black women in educational leadership, and she has already talked about the name and the title of her chapter in this collaboration. Her chapter is coming out of the dark. Okay, so as you are coming in, just support us, hang with us for a little while, continue to hear the conversation about the book Black Women in Educational Leadership, Coming Out of the Dark. In Dr. Sesay's chapter titled Coming Out of the Dark, she explores the valuable lessons of acceptance, forgiveness, and self discovery. Her journey holds significance as it inspires both Yeah, let me make sure that I read that correctly. The lessons of acceptance, forgiveness, and self discovery. Her journey holds significance as it inspires both aspiring and current leaders to embrace their true selves and make decisions that benefit those whom they support. Through this process of acceptance, she discovered that forgiveness could be found and that a path of self discovery could be embarked upon. She shares her experience of overcoming challenges, learning and growing, both professionally and personally, in face of adversity. Her story is one of perseverance in the face of significant challenges and adversity. Through acceptance, forgiveness, and self-discovery, leaders will undoubtedly re-emerge victoriously.
Yes.
And so there is also a link here. It says listen to the episodes, and I did watch a little of that episode. So I encourage you all to go to her website. This is where you will order your copy, and this is also where you can listen to the episode of all the authors in the book. And you will also see that she have opportunities. She's open to opportunities for speaking, media and press inquiries. So you'll find more information on her page here as well. She has some upcoming events, so support, support, support. Okay, and so author Dr. Nicole Sesay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So for Black women in educational leadership, what does the process of acceptance look like?
Yes. So a part of the journey of acceptance is actually three prong, and it's the blueprint that God provided me. And a part of one's journey into being an overcomer in the face of challenge, it first starts with acceptance. And a part of that acceptance is taking time to acknowledge the experiences that one has encountered. A part of that acceptance is coming to an acknowledgement that sometimes what we encounter, it occurs by the ill will that someone has done to us. But a part of that, if we see that God is working it all together, then we can walk in the acceptance that's needed to become that light for other people, for others on that journey. You know, Ruben Stutter a few years ago sung a song that I always think about. He says, it's not always easy to make medicine for
Mm,
someone else. And, you know, even biblically, the Bible says that once you have obtained what's needed, we are to go back and help somebody else. But in order to do both those things, be the sob and the balm, healing balm for someone else, or to be that beacon of light in areas of darkness for others, we have to be able to accept what happened. You know, I think about my journey and how in the beginning, Keandria, it was not easy for me to walk in acceptance. It was a challenge for me to accept that there were some things about myself that allowed me to be in that position. It does not eliminate the cruelty that I experienced, but I had to come to an awareness that there were some unhealed parts of me that
mm,
allowed me to be susceptible to what was happening in my workplace. And that a part of that was I had a desire to be approved. I had
mm,
a desire to be affirmed. I had a desire to have my professional accolades be what was the driving force with how I viewed myself. And often, because other areas in my life were not as flourishing, like my personal life, as an example, at the time, I was not married, I was not a mother, you know, so where I found my satisfaction, and quite frankly, Keandria, my identity was in my work. I was
mm,
a very efficient worker in the field. So when that was challenged, it was very easy for my perspective of self to become the perspective of the experience. And God had to really show me that a part of acceptance is accepting who I am that was separate from the external forces. And that was whether if something was good or not. That was the thing that God wanted me to understand about myself, that I am because of who he said I was. Not about what my successes were, not about what those challenges were. I was walking in the identity that God had given me. So at the foundation, we must walk in acceptance, acceptance of self. That means everything that is a part of our identity that shows up in the spaces that we enter. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, then we move into the other two pillars that God showed me that helps become a guiding light as people move through the challenges that they encounter in the workplace and beyond.
Yes, I love it. I am. Because God said, I am.
Yes, yes,
Okay, and I
indeed.
go back to say, in everything that He created,
Yes,
okay, was
yes,
good. And I have to remind myself too, I like that in everything that He created was
yes,
good. And I
yes,
am good because He created me, He created
yes,
you, He
yes,
created us all. Okay,
yes,
and
yes,
so, but I love that, and understanding that I am because God said that I am, and understanding
yes,
that in life, like you said, personally and professionally,
yes,
right? And so I know one of the things that I pray, is, even in the place of growing and maturing, and evolving, is becoming better than I was yesterday,
yes,
and sometimes we don't have control over all things,
sure,
that's why he says seek
yes,
me first,
yep,
right? And I
yes,
always go back to say, return back to your first love.
yes,
He is your first love, and
yes,
he know all things about you.
yes,
You know,
yes,
he know the future. He know
yes,
the plans. But
yes,
so if we just, I'm learning that, outside of what we would like to have control of, if we just seek him, seek our
yes,
first creator, seek our first love, it works out.
yes,
It through the good and through the bad, and even through the good, we I have learned, and I like to go back and reflect, a lot of times on my experience and understanding and being
yes,
relatable, to say that that's a part of the sharpening,
yes, it is.
and preparing us for where He's taking us to.
Yes,
Because if He give us something immaturely and not in the right time in the season, we wouldn't be able to handle it.
absolutely.
And so I'm sure in your adversity and in some of the others, ladies in the book, when y'all talk about y'all, the things, that the journey, uh
Yes,
and the things that you have had to go through,
yes,
um I kind of want to ask you at the same in the same token, like, during your process of growing and elevating from one level to another level, when it comes to your circle of people, what did that look like for you?
so it became scarce, quite frankly. I think about how some of the blueprint that God begins the elevation process. We see it with the life of Christ. We see it with Abraham when he was instructed to leave his people to go elsewhere. Even with Ruth when her husband and sons had died, when she was following Naomi, there was a separation. There's
Mhm.
a separation
Mhm.
that is required when God is pruning. And I balked, early on because I didn't understand it. There
Mhm.
were often times that I questioned, how could people who I've had encountered, people who I thought were advocates, people who were there for me in different seasons, I thought were lifelong.
Mm-hmm.
And God had to show me that blueprint. And often that separation is what redefines his voice. Often we as believers, much of our perspective of Christ is based on the voices of others. And when God is moving and elevating one's purpose, one's a person to be aligned with his purpose for that person's life, it's needful for his voice to be very clear. So I would be lying if I if I would say that it was not a lonely journey, because
Mm-hmm.
it was a lonely journey. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am actually sharing the book cover as well on Amazon. But again, we encourage you to go to her website to purchase the book.
Yes.
Um, but I wanted to pull the book up here as well on Amazon, because sometimes on Amazon you kind of can, if you on your desktop or a laptop, you can kind of get like a little sneak peek of samples. This is the back of the cover and the other authors that's in the book. Okay, and so how much is the book on your website?
Yes, it is $25, 24.99 to be exact.
Okay, so this is the book on Amazon, and if you click on sample, you can it allows you to look Black women in educational leadership. And I wanted to go down to the table of contents here. Um, what chapter is
Chapter
your
7. And
first
isn't
chapter?
it
Mm-hmm.
chapter 7, coming out of the dark? And I didn't know that my chapter was going to be chapter 7, but it's such a blessing because we know, biblically speaking, 7 means completion. And I was just blown away when, the Bible tells us there's no distance in the spirit, and everything that God does is on purpose. So how fitting it is for that experience to be completed with this chapter, to be able to help someone else. Everything that we do, as the scripture says in Romans 8 and 28, and that is foundational, what I live by, that it all works together. And I would not have imagined 7 years ago, when I was experiencing that challenge in the workplace, that I would be here 7 years later, having created through God a blueprint to help others, get out of and have um, a path forward when they have encountered challenges.
Yes, yes. So, if is there a area or a part of your book, like a little short synopsis of it that you would like to read and share?
I would love to.
Awesome.
And what I can do is I can read the part of um, the chapter that speaks about acceptance,
Okay.
since that's what we talked about.
Yes.
A lesson in acceptance. It was not easy to acknowledge and accept the role that I played in what transpired at my school. I am in no way saying that my journey of acceptance justified the cruelty I experienced at the hands of many. However, these lessons provided me with a unique opportunity to learn things that I did not know or understand about myself. I entered the principalship as an outlet, a vehicle through which I sought not only affirmation, but a sense of purpose and validation. This misguided desire led me to accept and tolerate treatment that I should not have. My longing for acknowledgement was profound. I yearned for recognition from teachers, parents, and the community. I sought to be seen not just as a leader, but as a valued and appreciated member of the community. This deep yearning for appreciation often overshadowed my ability to trust my instincts and embrace a truth I did not want to see: that despite my efforts and dedication, the validation I so desperately sought was misplaced. This realization prompted a year long journey of reflection on the nature of my self-worth and my motivation for acceptance. And here are the lessons I learned. So I'm going to just speak
Yes,
about
yes,
one.
yes.
Acceptance begins with acknowledgement. The ability to acknowledge one's actions, thoughts, and motivation is equally important as the reflection of others' action, thoughts, and motivations. You will not always be able to motivate the people you lead to love, commit, and sacrifice for the children, parents, and community they serve. Some people will only be motivated to work by the policies and procedures that dictate their performance. And understanding the difference between the two types of professionals is essential to one's effectiveness as a leader. Leading with the need to be affirmed and applauded for one's efforts makes one vulnerable to overworking, an inability to acknowledge and celebrate the journey of success, and a tendency never to be satisfied with one's efforts.
Mm. Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you. Look, get the book, get the book, get the book. The website is in the comments. Okay. Um, let me repost it. Let me put the link again in the comments. I just reposted the websites, and I'm also gonna put it here on the banner. Okay. All right. So listen, get your copy, get your copy, get your copy. I just, look, we all need leadership.
Yes, yes,
So we all need you. I mean, I just think that, especially us, in we forever learning.
sure.
Okay. Forever learning, and always there's always room to grow. There's
Yes,
always room to sharpen the
yes,
skill in the gift, in the talent, and all that God has given us, right?
yes,
Um, because we're representing him.
yes, indeed.
If he opened up that door for us, we're representing him.
Yes, we are.
And so I would like to also ask you, so we talked about, you've been an educator for over 25 years, so you have shared a lot about, acceptance, God's purpose. And so let's talk about this other big journey you got going on with you and your husband. You and your husband recently established the NEB Consulting Group LLC.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Uh, can you share a little bit more with us about it?
Yes, and I'm so excited that we've had the opportunity to create this consultant LLC, and we're working hard to establish ourselves in the field of professional development. A part of my call is to be able to teach, and early on in our conversation, we talked about um, the command of the Bible that once you get it, we are instructed to go back and help others. I'm deeply passionate about putting companies, putting people in the position to help create environments to support the growth of others. And a part of that mission is really linked to what we're doing in the book,
Mm-hmm.
and that is having the opportunity to share with people who have gone through experiences, specifically professionally, where they don't know what to do next when
Yeah,
something
yeah.
happens and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what to do. When I think about it, Keandria, I was in a very unique experience, not original,
Mm-hmm.
but what made it unique is that I myself needed someone to help guide me through the experience that I encountered. And there was no one there. And while there were people who made attempts to whether it was spiritually, and that was a limit,
Mhm.
I maybe at another time I'll talk about some of the things that God has helped me see, that relates to the spiritual component that happens in the workplace when such an event happens, that shifts a person, or something unexpected happens. That could be a loss of a job, a
Mhm.
lot of negative engagement where you have professional attacks, where you're not being promoted. Like, all of these things from a spiritual standpoint stems from somewhere. God
Mhm.
opened my understanding of that. But even if we just speak professionally, a part of my desire in the work that my husband and I are creating is for me to be able to coach people out of such situations, because I lived through a very traumatic experience,
Mhm.
and God has allowed me to tell the story. So we are really building and establishing. Later on in this year, I'll be speaking at a national conference in Washington State regarding a lot of this work that I'm doing. So I'm just grateful that God has entrusted myself and my husband to help
Yes.
others when they are challenged with some of these things that they've experienced
So
professionally.
is your consulting only for educators?
No, not at all. No, not at all. I'm starting in the field that people might see my connection most,
Mhm.
because I've been in education for over 25 years.
Mhm.
But this consulting group is by to assist anyone who
Okay.
is trying to work through a challenge that they've had professionally, an outlet.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share concerning to
Yes.
your book, your journey, or just the support of our Black women?
I just want those to be encouraged. My story is a story of resilience. It's a story of faith, and it is a story that God will use the experiences that have been sent to destroy us to be a benefit in the long run. And if I could give a lasting thought to your audience, is to hold true to that faith, that no matter what experience one encounters, God will make it all beautiful in his
Yes.
time. He will
Yes.
use it, and he will position us to be the path layer for other people. I've shared with women, I and God had to show me this. When I think about a forest, and I think about when people are trying to walk through the forest, the hardest job in walking through that forest when the ground has been untoiled,
Mhm.
is the person who has to first create the path. Once that person lays the groundwork where a path has now been created, any other person walking through that forest, it's easier. And
Mm.
often when you are the trailblazer, when you are the path layer, it is a challenge, because
Yes.
the path is not there yet. The ground has not been toiled, the
Mhm.
ground has not been prepped. You are now prepping to allow someone else to be able to walk the path. So, for those who are trailblazers, those who are ground path layers, be encouraged that I am a believer and I am a witness that it will all work together for your good in due
Yes.
season.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. Now, I have a question,
Sure.
and it's related to becoming an educator. And I know you have 25 years of experience, but when
Yes.
you're actually, for an example, when you have been in the field, such as myself, and you were trying to, transition, in them, and I love my career, but I also want to, kind of step into, continue to step into, like you said, kind of giving back. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that's how I mean, in the community that I grew up in, I experienced that separation in order to grow. Okay. I
Yes.
just knew that I couldn't continue to hang with the same people. I couldn't continue
Sure.
to go to the places and spaces that I once was in with
Mm-hmm.
the mindset of saying, I'm breaking the generational curse. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? I'm gonna be the one who not just graduate from high school, but I'm gonna be the one who goes to college. I'm gonna be the one who, get my associate's degree.
Yeah.
And my kids have came behind me and even broken more. I started with
Yes.
the associate's degree. My daughter, she got her master's and she now is licensed. So she traveled for over 3 years as a traveling social work, and then she started out with social work. Then I done lost the letter. The girls keep growing, but she just said for her clinical exam and she passed.
Oh,
And so
beautiful.
so yeah, so she got her license there and doing her traveling. She got her clinical hours, and now that she done got her clinical hours, she's set for the exam. So now she's done traveling. She graduated from traveling, so she's now working at a facility full time with her um, clinician. Um, in Nashville. My
Yeah.
son, he has his bachelor's, okay?
Oh,
And
beautiful.
so listen, I'm
Yes.
not a boostful type of person, but I said, Lord, if you ain't did it for nobody, you did it for me. You did it for me. You did it for me.
Yeah.
But again, it started out with a determined mindset. And I tell people
Yes.
all the time, it starts at home.
Yes.
It starts at home. Yes, we can go to church and we can perpetrate to be the perfect family outside of the four walls. But for
Yes.
me, it starts at home, inside the four walls.
Yep.
And so I try to be that best example possible inside the four walls of my house when it came to that perseverance, that determination, and that faith. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I instill that into my kids. I show them. You know what I'm saying? In spite of the adversity, in spite of the trials, in spite of the tribulations, in spite of the people disappointing you and letting you down,
Yes.
this is what we still have to do.
Yes.
And working within your means. Don't be trying to be, outside of your means because you think that what you see is prettier or nicer. You
Yes.
know, when it comes to keeping something, we got to do it right.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? And so we're gonna work within our means. We're gonna budget. You know what I'm saying? And then we're gonna work. We don't ask for nobody to give us nothing. You
Yes.
work for it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Faith without works is dead. So we're gonna work for it. And then you don't go in. I don't go in just with a handout, but you do the work, you do the research, you do your studying, and you
Yeah.
apply it.
Yeah.
And even in applying it, if you fail, try again. You
Yep.
ask questions. That's why
Sure.
I deal with the root issues of a thing. And
Yep.
so when I deal with the root issues of a thing, I say, okay, let's ask some questions so we can deal with the root issues of where we may be misunderstanding. You see
Yep.
what I'm saying? Or, I interpret, or, when it comes to comprehend and read, what is it? Read, apply, and comprehend.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And so I just say all of that to just, I really, my question, and even saying that before I got too excited, is just to say, like, what do you encourage, or when it comes to someone, like myself that's been in the field for, as they have, and just trying to enter into that door as an adjunct professor?
Yeah, so I've worked with people trying to get in the field. So often I would say, let's talk very specifically about your current situation and what you can do to then put yourself in the position to become an adjunct. So it's it's nuanced because people have different situations. So those who I've helped get into education, it's usually like, hey, let's talk offline. Let's look at what your credentials are. Let's look at what your ultimate goals are and how we can work towards you getting into the space that you want to get into.
Awesome. Okay, so I hope that you all have enjoyed this interview, and so let the people know your website information is posted, but let the people know other places that they can follow you,
Yes.
that they can find you if they would like to connect.
Yep. So Dr. Nicole Sesay, I'm on YouTube by my namesake. I'm on Facebook with my namesake as well as Instagram. So I'm very excited to be connecting with folks. I do want to highlight that this Saturday we will be having our virtual book launch and talk about my chapter. I'm very excited about it. And you can find it on my website. You can find it on the social media handles that I've shared with you. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You do not need the book to join, but I believe that it's going to be a blessed time for us to have conversations about resilience and trials that have turned into triumphs.
Yes, yes. And remember that you are, because she reminded you today that I am because God said that I am. And
Yes.
so, you all, I want you all to just, again, continue to love, like, share the broadcast. And don't forget the upcoming time that she gave about the book release so you can continue to support her and all the other authors. Can you hold the book up one more time for us?
Yes.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Yes, yes, yes. So we want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining She's Purposeke Book Talks, and we will see you again next week. Love you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. It shows